I remember the first time I saw the email. It was late evening, and the glow of my laptop was the only light in my small apartment. As a freelance graphic designer, my life revolved around this machine, a hub of creativity and, more often than not, my only companion in the quiet nights. The email appeared innocuous at first, nestled amongst the usual mix of client requests and promotional spam. But something about it caught my eye. It was from an address almost identical to mine, just a few characters off. A typical phishing attempt, I assumed, ready to dismiss it. Yet, curiosity got the better of me. I clicked it open. "Hi Travis," it read, "hope you're doing well today. Just wanted to check in." That was it. No links to click on, no attachments. Just a simple, eerily personal greeting. I scanned the sender's address again, trying to make sense of it. It was like looking into a distorted mirror, seeing my own digital identity reflected back at me, slightly skewed. I shook my head, attributing it to some tech glitch or a prankster with too much time on their hands, and hit delete. I tried to forget about it, diving back into my work. But there's something about the human mind, isn't there? A seed of intrigue, once planted, refuses to stop growing. That email, so seemingly benign, had lodged itself in my thoughts. Who would go to such lengths to mimic my email address? And for what purpose? I was still pondering these questions when my phone chimed with the arrival of another email. The same sender. A jolt of unease shot through me. With a hesitant hand, I opened it. "Busy day, huh? You've been at your screen for hours. Don't forget to stretch your legs. And maybe ease up on the coffee." I froze. My gaze darted around the room, half expecting to find someone watching me. The email had described my day accurately, too accurately. I hadn't left my desk since morning, and the pile of coffee cups teetering at the edge was a testament to my caffeine dependency. This was no longer looking like a simple prank. Someone was observing me, studying my habits. The thought sent a shiver down my spine. My home, my sanctuary, suddenly felt exposed and vulnerable. I stood up, walking over to the window, peering out into the dark, searching for any sign of prying eyes. But the street below was empty, the usual nocturnal quietness reigning supreme. A thought then struck me: could it be a hacker? Someone who had gained access to my computer's camera. The possibilities seemed all too real, all too terrifying. I rushed back to my laptop, my fingers flying over the keys as I searched for any signs of intrusion. But everything seemed normal, no suspicious programs running, no unusual files hidden away. With a growing sense of dread, I realized this was beyond my understanding. Whoever was behind these emails knew me, knew my life. They were sending a message, clear and unmistakable. "I am watching you." As I sat there, engulfed in the glow of the screen, I couldn't shake off the feeling of eyes on me, unseen and unknown. The digital realm, once my playground, had turned into a landscape of shadows and uncertainties. And I was utterly alone in it. The following days were a blur of anxiety and paranoia. Each chime of my email notification was like a bell tolling, heralding another slice of my life served back to me by this mysterious observer. Despite my best efforts to ignore them, the emails became increasingly personal, delving into moments I had believed were mine alone. One email detailed a phone call I had with my sister, recounting our conversation about family matters with unsettling accuracy. Another described a childhood memory I had never shared with anyone, a memory I had almost forgotten myself. The intrusion was no longer just digital, it was personal, invasive, and deeply disturbing. But it was the next email that truly shook me. It arrived on a dreary Wednesday evening, the rain tapping against my window like an impatient visitor. The message was different this time, ominous in its brevity. "Tomorrow is a big day, Travis. Make the right choice at the cafe. Think carefully." The cafe. My regular spot. A place where I'd spend hours sketching designs and watching the world go by. What choice was this? What was I supposed to do? The vagueness of the warning only served to heighten my distress. Sleep eluded me that night. My mind raced with possibilities, each more fantastical and horrifying than the last. Was this a threat? A prediction? Or perhaps a twisted game being played at my expense? The rational part of me tried to dismiss it, but fear has a way of overshadowing reason. Morning came with no revelations, just a heavy sense of impending doom as I got ready. I debated whether to go to the cafe at all. Avoiding it seemed the safest option, but the non-curiosity, the need to know, was overpowering. As I made my way through the rain-soaked streets, my eyes darted around nervously, searching for any sign of the person behind the emails. But the city went about its business, oblivious to my turmoil. The cafe was a sanctuary from the rain, warm and inviting. I ordered my usual, finding a seat by the window, my eyes scanning the room. Everyone seemed engrossed in their own worlds, laptops open, conversations flowing. Nothing out of the ordinary. Then it happened. A man, 2 tables away, suddenly clutched his chest, his face contorting in pain. A heart attack, right there in front of me. Panic erupted in the cafe as people rushed to his aid, calling for an ambulance. I sat frozen, my coffee untouched. This was it. The choice. Should I have warned him, this stranger? Could I have changed what happened? The weight of the unanswerable questions crushed me. As the paramedics took the man away, the cafe slowly returned to its rhythm, but I remained there, shaken to my core. The email had known, it had predicted this. But how? And why? I left the cafe with more questions than answers, the eerie feeling of being part of something far beyond my understanding growing with every step. The emails were no longer just messages, they were echoes from a reality I couldn't grasp, and I was caught in their chilling reverberations. In the days that followed, my life became a twisted maze of fear and obsession. The emails continued, each one a reminder of my unseen observer's omnipresence. I found myself looking over my shoulder constantly, jumping as shadows, suspecting every face in the crowd. I tried tracing the source of the emails, but it was like grappling with smoke. The digital trail was elusive, always leading back to my own devices. It was as if the emails were being sent from my laptop, my phone, but always at times when they were not in my use. This chilling realization only deepened my sense of violation. My own technology, the tools of my trade, had turned against me. Amidst this digital hunting, the photographs began to arrive. The first was of me in the cafe, taken from outside, my face a picture of oblivious contentment. Then came more me walking down the street, me shopping for groceries, me sitting at my desk, engrossed in work. Each photo was a silent accusation, a wordless invasion of my privacy. I felt trapped in a relentless game of cat and mouse, where I was perpetually the prey, and my hunter was invisible, untouchable. My home, once my haven, now felt like a glass house, every wall a window for prying eyes. Desperate for some semblance of normalcy, I reached out to the police. But what could I tell them? That I was receiving emails from myself. That someone was photographing me without my knowledge. The skepticism in the officer's eyes was palpable as I recounted my story. They suggested it might be a practical joke, a friend perhaps, playing a twisted prank. But I knew better. This was no prank. The fear that gripped me was too real, the threat too persistent. I was being watched, studied, documented. My every move anticipated, my every routine known. As I left the police station, a deep sense of helplessness settled over me. The laws of the physical world, the rules of engagement I understood and relied upon, were useless in this battle. I was fighting a shadow, a ghost in the machine, and it was winning. The world around me had become a landscape of paranoia. Every phone a potential spy, every computer a possible traitor. I was living in a digital panopticon, every aspect of my life subject to scrutiny by an unknown, unseeable adversary. Night brought no respite, only the haunting glow of my laptop screen, the gateway to my tormentor. Sleep was a distant memory, replaced by long hours of fruitless searches for answers, for a way to end this nightmare. But answers were elusive as the sender of the emails. I was caught in a web of fear and confusion, every attempt to break free only serving to entangle me further. And so, I waited, my eyes fixed on the screen, dreading the next chime of an incoming email, the next glimpse into the mind of my unseen watcher. My life, once so ordinary, had become a psychological battleground, and I was hopelessly outmatched. The day of revelation began like any other in my recent string of paranoid and sleep-deprived days. The morning light did little to dispel the shadows that seemed to have taken permanent residence in my mind. As I sat at my desk, nursing a strong coffee in a feeble attempt to shake off the coffee, I opened the email with a sense of fatalistic resignation, bracing myself for another glimpse into the twisted mirror of my life. But this email was different. It contained no cryptic messages or veiled threats. Instead, there was a single line that sent a jolt of ice-cold fear down my spine. Look at the cafe today. Noon. The cafe. Again. The sight of the heart attack that had shaken me to my core. What was it about that place? Was this a warning, or another piece in a puzzle I was far from solving? I knew one thing for certain. I had to be there. Perhaps, finally, I would come face to face with my tormentor. As noon approached, I found myself back at the cafe, a sense of déjà vu enveloping me. The atmosphere was unnervingly normal, patrons chatting and sipping their drinks, oblivious to the storm of anxiety raging within me. Then, it happened. The cafe's door opened, and in walked a figure, hooded and unremarkable at first glance. But there was something in the way they moved, a purposeful stride that set them apart from the casual air of the other customers. My heart pounded in my chest as the figure took a seat at the very table the man had collapsed at days before. I watched, my coffee forgotten, as the figure reached into their bag and pulled out a laptop. It was then that I noticed something that made my blood run cold. The laptop was identical to mine, down to the distinctive scratch on the lid I had always meant to cover up. My mind raced with questions. Was this the person behind the emails? How did they have my laptop? And then, in a flash of chilling clarity, I realized the truth. The emails, the photographs, the uncanny knowledge of my life, it was all coming from my own devices. I approached the table, my legs moving as if on their own accord. The figure looked up, and for a moment, our eyes met. There was no recognition, no flicker of emotion, just a cold, detached gaze that seemed to look right through me. Before I could speak, the figure stood up, leaving the laptop open on the table. They walked out of the cafe without a backward glance, disappearing into the crowded street. I was left standing there, a myriad of emotions coursing through me: fear, confusion, but above all, an overwhelming need to know. I sat down at the table and looked at the screen. It was open to an email composition window, addressed to me. The cursor blinked mockingly at me, as if inviting me to unravel the mystery. I spent the next hour poring over the laptop, uncovering a complex web of programs and scripts that had been using my data, my patterns, to create the emails. It was as if my digital life had been hijacked, turned into a puppet by an unseen puppeteer. But who? And why? The questions swirled in my head, each more unanswerable than the last. I left the cafe with the laptop under my arm, a heavy weight both physically and metaphorically. The truth was within reach, yet still shrouded in layers of mystery. I returned to my apartment, the setting sun casting long shadows across the room. As I sat down to delve deeper into the enigma of the laptop, I couldn't shake off the feeling that this was far from over. The truth was unfolding, yes, but it was revealing a reality more terrifying than I could have imagined. My life had been invaded, manipulated, but the real horror lay in the why. The unknown motive behind this elaborate charade was the darkest shadow of all. The night enveloped my apartment as I delved into the labyrinthine data on the laptop. My world had shrunk to the confines of its screen, a digital Pandora's box revealing its secrets and lines of code and hidden files. The more I uncovered, the more my sense of reality began to warp. The programs I found were sophisticated beyond anything I had encountered. They were designed to mimic human behavior, learning from my habits, my schedule, my interactions. This wasn't the work of a casual hacker or prankster, it was the creation of someone with deep knowledge and resources. As I pieced together the puzzle, a chilling narrative emerged. The laptop had been using my online activity to generate emails that mirrored my life, creating a feedback loop of surveillance and simulation. It was as if a digital clone of myself had been born from the depths of the internet, an echo of my existence trapped in the wires and circuits. But the most disturbing revelation was yet to come. Hidden within the laptop system was a log file. It detailed every email sent, every photo taken, every keystroke recorded, and each entry was timestamped with precision. As I scrolled through the log, my heart sank. The program had been active for months, predating the first email I received. This was no random attack, it was long-planned, methodically executed. The realization hit me like a physical blow. For months, my life had been an open book to someone, my privacy violated in the most intimate way. I felt exposed, vulnerable, a stranger in my own life. But amidst the shock and despair, a burning question remained. Who was behind this? And why target me? My thoughts were interrupted by a soft chime. A new email, sent from the mysterious account. My hands trembled as I opened it. Travis, you found what you were looking for. But some truths are better left hidden. Stop now, or the consequences will be beyond your control. The warning was clear, but it only fueled my determination. I couldn't let this go, not now. I had to find out who was behind this, to reclaim my life from the shadows. The following days were a blur of sleepless nights and relentless research. I traced the origins of the laptop, the programs, the emails, each thread leading me deeper into a web of deceit and manipulation. I encountered dead ends, false leads, but I pressed on, driven by a need for answers that bordered on obsession. And then, a breakthrough. A hidden file, cleverly disguised, revealed a connection to a tech company known for its advanced AI research. The pieces began to fall into place. The laptop, the emails, the surveillance, it was all part of an experiment, a test of AI capabilities, pushed to its ethical limits. I was a guinea pig in a twisted technological trial, my life reduced to data points and algorithms. The revelation was both horrifying and infuriating. I had been violated, used, all in the name of scientific progress. Armed with this knowledge, I knew what I had to do. I gathered evidence, documented everything, prepared to expose those responsible. I couldn't let them get away with this, couldn't let them do this to anyone else. But as I prepared to bring the truth to light, a creeping sense of unease settled over me. The warning in the email echoed in my mind. What consequences awaited me in my quest for justice? The unknown loomed large, a dark cloud on the horizon of my newfound resolve. And so, I sat in the dim light of my screen, caught between the desire for retribution and the fear of the unknown. My life had been forever changed by the shadows of technology, and now I stood at the precipice of a decision that could either cast those shadows aside or plunge me deeper into their depths. The final act of my surreal journey began under the heavy cloak of night, the city asleep around me, unaware of the quiet drama unfolding in the confines of my apartment. The evidence I had gathered lay spread out before me, a mosaic of betrayal and intrusion. I knew I had to act, to bring this insidious experiment into the light. But the warning in the email haunted me, a ghostly whisper urging caution. The stakes were higher than I had ever imagined. This was no longer just about my privacy, it was about exposing a dangerous overreach of technology, a warning to the world. As dawn broke, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, I made my decision. I would go public. The story, my story, needed to be told. But I would be careful, strategic. The company behind this had resources and influence. I couldn't underestimate them. I reach out to a few trusted contacts, journalists known for their investigative prowess and integrity. The responses were cautious but intrigued. The evidence was compelling, a narrative straight out of a dystopian novel, yet frighteningly real. Meetings were arranged, the story taking shape, gaining momentum. But with each step forward, a nagging fear shadowed me. The company's reach was far, its power significant. I was David standing against Goliath, armed with nothing but the truth. The day the story broke, the world seemed to hold its breath. Headlines screamed of privacy violations, of AI gone rogue. Social media erupted in outrage and fear. The company issued denials, their statements slick and rehearsed, but the seed of doubt was planted. I watched the drama unfold from the shadows, anonymous yet intimately involved. My role was unknown to the world, but I felt a sense of vindication, a weight lifting from my shoulders. I had exposed the truth, but at what cost? In the days that followed, the company faced scrutiny and investigations. Lawsuits were filed, careers ruined. The experiment was condemned, a cautionary tale of technological hubris. But for me, there was no triumphant ending, no hero's welcome. The echoes of the experience resonated within me, a constant reminder of my vulnerability in a connected world. The emails stopped, but the sense of being watched lingered, a ghostly presence in the machines that surrounded me. I found myself looking over my shoulder, jumping as shadows, the lines between the digital and the real forever blurred. The laptop, the source of my torment, sat unused, a relic of a chapter one wanted to close. The story faded from the headlines, replaced by the next scandal, the next outrage. But for me, the effects were lasting. I had pulled back the curtain on a digital Goliath, but in doing so, I had exposed myself to a world of shadows and whispers. As I sit here, typing this final account, I wonder about the future, about the role of technology in our lives. I had been a pawn in a game I didn't even know I was playing. Now, I'm just a bystander, watching the digital world with wary eyes. I've learned that some echoes never fade, they resonate through our lives in ways we can't predict. My story is one of those echoes, a tale of technology and privacy, of power and resistance. And as I log off for the last time, I leave a part of myself behind, a digital footprint in the sands of a brave new world.